Aloha and good afternoon. My name is Juergen Steinmetz from eTurbo News and Livestream.travel. I'm saying aloha because I live in Honolulu and we usually do this from Honolulu, but today I'm in Greece actually. And it's a little bit of a cloudy, windy day here, but otherwise it's beautiful, very quiet. Not a lot of things are open. But I guess it's a nice place to relax in Greece these days if you're not in Athens, where COVID is going around like wildfire. How's everything in Texas, Peter?
Everything is great here, and hello to Greece. It's still dark. It's early morning here. The sun comes up at 7:20 and it's 7:04 here. But we did have some cold weather. It's now getting a lot better, and we will be having today temperatures in the 70s, which is the low 20s if you're using the Celsius scale. So we've gone from about 20 degrees in Celsius or about 28 degrees in Fahrenheit to about 70 degrees in Fahrenheit, whichever way you're looking. But whichever way, the skies will be blue today, and it will be the prognostication is that it'll be a very pretty day, which is a lot of tourism, which is not having such a pretty day, both from the issue of COVID and from the issue of airline cancellations, which is a real problem, and also cruise issues. So those are three big issues that have to be spoken about. In the world of tourism, and hotels are now being sued on the question of COVID. So that's a whole new wrinkle that has not been considered in the world of tourism.
Yeah, it's a never-ending story, and I think the world now slowly needs to understand COVID is not just going away. We have more horror news from France about another version of COVID detected, well, apparently originated in Cameroon and is even more contagious than Omicron. But face it, I mean, what we know about Omicron right now, it's usually mild. It doesn't add a lot to the hospitals, and it's terrible, obviously, but I don't think we can close down the world of it anymore. And it's what it is. I mean, if you look, I just talked to our friend Alain Sangange from Seychelles, and he said they're having a record COVID outbreak, all Omicron. And I can see it where I'm from in Hawaii. We have like astronomical numbers of COVID, new COVID cases, more than you don't even want to announce. And the same is true for the entire United States with 1 million in one day. We cannot stop it, you know?
Yes. No. Now, it might not be the end of the world because if people are vaccinated, it's fairly light, and this might be the way to create herd immunity. As a matter of fact, I was speaking to the Kingdom, and they're kind of talking about copying the Israeli system now of Israel is working toward national herd immunity, and that's something that are also considered doing, and that means you don't have to shut down your economy. Now, it means that you have a lot of sick people who have, it's the equivalent of having a national cold or a national flu. But those who have not been vaccinated, it is very dangerous. So you have to be really vigilant, try to get people as vaccinated as possible, and also take precautions. Keep social distance, wear a mask, etc.
I mean, Israel is also the country that is developing a fourth shot, a second booster shot.
Yes.
And the news, you may not know this, Peter, just came out about an hour, 90 minutes ago. I saw it on the wire that Israel said, okay, the fourth shot is good, but it's by far not enough. So apparently there has been disappointing results with this fourth shot. So we need to see where this all goes.
So that's well, you got to keep watching this exactly what's happening. Yeah, I had a discussion, and he thinks that we should at least have everyone should be vaccinated, at least revaccinated at least once a year. Um, and that really also COVID is not going away. It's going to just go through multiple variations. So real issue from our perspective, from the tourism perspective, is how do we continue? Because right now tourism is in chaos, and the airlines are canceling flights. I haven't seen this morning yet, but yesterday over 4,000 flights were canceled.
Yeah,
Travel.
and that is not only in the United States. I mean, there are flights canceled all over the world. Here in Europe, it's not any better. I heard
Yeah.
China and India, it's worse. And simply there's not enough pilots.
Yes.
There's too many pilots calling in sick. And we're decreasing the number of
With
the
that.
quarantine time. What some doctors say, I just heard from a professional in Germany saying, this is completely lunatic to have a 5-day quarantine. It'll do nothing and would definitely not save us from the spread of this virus. Also, the decision by the CDC saying that after the end of the quarantine, a test is no longer necessary. That is lunatic. The test is not necessary because we don't have enough tests in the United States. No one in Europe would ever say this because here we have enough tests.
Well, as you know, in the United States, the administration has yet to order the promised 500 million tests. They're still trying to decide which contract they want to give. So that means kits are supposed to go to every home until maybe early February. And now there's questions on how accurate these tests are going to be anyway, that they may be giving false positives or false negatives. So that's an issue. I guess it's better than nothing, but it's kind of like having a t-shirt on is better than nothing, but the t-shirt isn't going to do a lot to protect you against the rain. And so that's a real issue that we have to get to think about. The pilot situation is really a double situation because the world had been facing COVID. Now, it was barely enough pilots, but that was a problem. And as some of the airlines have paid, especially the commuter airlines, have paid pilots incredibly poorly, and so they were leaving and going into private planes. In other words, they were leaving the commercial airlines, and they could do much better as a private pilot than they could as a commercial flyer. So they had a very weak pilot pool to begin with, and now you're adding to that the additions and because of COVID and people calling in sick. And of course, the third side of that is with the beginnings now of lawsuits taking place, the airlines are going to be incredibly careful, as with the hotels, because if you get sick, say you're staying at a chain hotel, or Marriott or whatever hotel it happens to be, and you get sick, can you sue the whole chain? And if you can sue the whole chain, it's going to create tremendous legal hassles, and they're going to be even more afraid to have people come in. But of course, when people don't come in, you kind of a negative cycle around, up and down the line.
Yeah, and I think it's time for some smart legislation on this because it's all uncharted territory. And yes, I'm all for having someone the opportunity to sue, someone if an airline takes your money and doesn't want a refund because they canceled. Yes, you should be able to sue, but to suing a hotel for getting sick with COVID is lunatic. It's you're taking this risk the minute you check into the hotel. It's not going to be 100% safe.
Well, currently there are no legal protections. So you can have it. Now, there could be laws internationally. Of course, part of it is that you could be a European and get sick in the Caribbean, or an American who gets sick in Europe, or whatever. international lawsuits. So the problem is that unless there is an international agreement saying that should you receive COVID in a hotel, and the hotel has done what we might call standard of care. Care, and that standard of care will say if you are fulfilling those principles and they're updated, say once a year or whatever, then you cannot be sued, and that would solve the problem. But I do think this is going to be an issue. I think you're going to see cruise lines being sued off, and especially right now, the CDC in the United States has recommended against cruises. So if you take, you know that you should, the CDC has said not to take the Center for Disease Control. And so again, this is if tourism wants to rebound, it's going to have to work with governments to create international legislation that creates fair protection for the industry and also fair protection for the visitor.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we're as I said, we're in uncharted territories. We don't know where this all goes and where this ends. It may never end, but we just have to adjust. Regular rules really no longer are effective, no matter where you look.
No longer apply. They're no longer applicable. No, you're right.
And well, it is
right now. This
what
is
it
not
is.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that tourism has two sides to it. What is the practical side of getting me from point A to point B, the transportation side? But the second side is the of enchantment, that you're going there. You are sitting on a beautiful Greek island, luxuriating, even though it's probably cold. Lots of people would love to be able to be on a Greek island. And I know that you're an island person living both in Hawaii and Greece. Even though it might not always be every moment enchanting, there's the image of enchantment that takes place. And if tourism loses that image of enchantment, people are not going to want to travel. So it's very important that the airlines, the cruise ships, the train create a sense not only of practical transportation and cleanliness, but also of enchantment and of a sense that this is a wonderful vacation experience. If not, at least leisure tourism will cease to be. How is
Okay, Peter, I couldn't hear your last part.
Okay, I was saying that hopefully it'll come through, that part of tourism is enchantment, and it's really important to create enchantment, not but also the sense that when people travel, that they're doing it for a sense of the special, the memorable, be able to take this and feel that they're doing something unique. So I was wondering, I know it's winter in street. I can see them behind your back, but what is life like on the Greek islands? Tell us a little bit about your enchanting experience.
Well, it's pretty much dead. It's beautiful because you don't really see any tourists. I think we're probably the only tourist here right now, and a lot of local people. They're here. We have 4 restaurants open, I think, on the entire island, from what I can see, and they're doing, I think, okay business. And it's all concentrated here around the harbor. The rest of the island seems to be quite dead. The visitors industry is really not an issue in the winter, specifically when it's cold and windy, but it's a different experience. You kind of get the local experience, forget the shops because the shops are closed. The pharmacies are open, so you can buy corona tests everywhere. There's only one pharmacy, I shouldn't say the pharmacist, but yeah, it's beautiful. There's Christmas time here still because the Greek Orthodox Christmas, I think it's in a few days. I don't know exactly what date, but today there were kids going around all over and singing Christmas songs, collecting charity and money. I donated something, and so they're having a good time here. Yeah, it's a different type of experience, but tourism, it's all part of tourism. And I think if there's a safe place in the world is to go someplace where you can really get away from everything, and you don't have to worry about the corona numbers exploding on you.
Well, maybe that's really an area of tourism that should be explored. And maybe the Greek islands, which are very busy in the summer, ought to really start promoting the Greek islands as a place to get away from the world in the winter. And maybe that would be a whole new, I hadn't really thought about. And that may be part of what tourism is going to have to do, is create new products, a new wine from old bottles, is a classical saying. And maybe that's one of the things we have to do, is to create new wine out of old bottles.
No, and
Fine.
absolutely. So the tourism will change. The big city tourism may not be for everyone anymore if you're worried about catching corona. If you're not worried about catching corona and you feel safe, then I guess it wouldn't change. But we don't know where this all goes, Peter. But let's just work towards a better world, fitting within whatever it is right now we have to deal with, and what we have to deal with in the future. I really don't think we can escape. And I think the way we probably think now is very different from the way we thought just a year ago when everything was locked down. Now really, even astronomical COVID numbers don't have any really, have not even close the effect a lot smaller numbers had, and I think from my perspective, I think it's good to travel. It's something what people need to relax their mind. You cannot shut down the world. It's global understanding. And yes, you can do your business meetings on Zoom, but you cannot experience a country. You cannot feel the wind. You cannot hear the kids playing really unless you go there.
Yeah, and you certainly have had some really interesting Greek local food experiences. So you can see this as a gastronomical vacation.
Exactly. All right. Well,
all right.
We're going to see you again soon. Let's follow through. Don't forget to read Turbo News. And if you wanted to see, if you see us now live on eTurbo News and you wanted to watch us again, just simply click on our YouTube channel. It's linked from all our sites, and you can go back and watch us over and over and over again. Peter, I wish you a nice morning, afternoon, have a nice breakfast, and
morning. Yeah.
We'll talk to you very soon, and good afternoon from Greece, and stay safe.
Good morning from Texas. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
All right. Thank you.